Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be teaching you how to build a Neumorphic calculator with HTML, CSS and Javascript. Neumorphism is just a soft UI that visually combines background colors, shapes, gradients and shadows to ensure graphic intents on buttons and switches. So if you find this to be useful and helpful, just help me out by subscribing to the channel and like the video as well. With that said, let's jump right in. So on your desktop, right click and create a new folder and name it as Neumorphic calculator. So you need to right click on the folder and open with VS Code. So within the VS Code, you need to create 3 files within that folder. Let's name the first file as index.html, and also the second file as style.css, and the last file as main.js. So within the HTML file, let's use the exclamation mark to generate the template of the whole thing for us. That's the skeleton of the HTML. So let's change the title to Neumorphic calculator. We also need to link our style sheet. So link record style sheet and the path of your style. That's style.css. You need to do the same for JavaScript. You need to link the script. So the source will be main.js within the script. So within the body, you'll be having the main tag. Within the main tag, we'll be having a div with an ID of display that will display our results. We'll also be having another div with a class of keys. So within this div, we'll be having a button with a class of btn and has a value of AC. Let's copy this button and paste it as many as we can. So in here, we only need to change the value. So I'll do that quick in here. So that's pretty much the code that should be found within the index.html file. So let's right click on the file and open it with live server. So this is what you see when we open it with live server. Let me try to display the screens. Okay, let's move on to our styles. So within the style, let's target everything, give it a margin of 0, a padding of 0, and also a font size of 1 rem. Let's give it a background color of gray. So let's target the body as well. So within the body, let's display flex, give it a main height of 100 VH and align items at the center. You also need to justify the content at the center to be at the middle of the page. Okay, let's give it a width of 100. So let's target the main tag and give it a padding of 2.5 frame. That's top and bottom, 1 rem from left and right. Let's give it a border radius of 1.5 rem and also a background color of this grayish color. Let's give it a box shadow, and that's going to be this 6 pixel, 12 pixel, and give this color. There we go. Let's target the ID of display. That's the results, the input, where the results will be shown. Let's give it a width of 20 rem, a height of 2 rem, and also let's give it a padding of 1.5 frame. That's from top and down, and 2 rem from left and right. Let's give it a font size of 1.5 rem and also a border of none. Let's also give it a border radius of 1.5 frame and align the text to be on the right side. Let's proceed to give it a box shadow of the same thing, but in here we need to add the insert value. So let's target the key class and display grid and give it a grid template columns of repeat for 1 fractional unit. let's give it a gap of 0.8 rem and also a margin top of 1.5 rem. So let's target the button element. Let's give it a width of 3.5 frame and also a height of 3.5 frame. Let's give it a border radius of 1.75 frame. There we go. Let's give some box shadow of that, and also let's give it a border of none, an outline of none, a cursor of pointer. Every button should have a cursor of pointer, and also let's give it a background of that grayish color. That's pretty much it. So whenever you hover the button, you want to change the color, so just use the pseudo selector hover. So whenever you hover on the button, you want to change the background color to that gray color. There you go. And I think that's pretty much the only code that should be found within the CSS. We forgot to give it a box sizing of border box. That's making it big enough, so let's do that. There we go. It's now looking much good. Let's move on to the main logic. That's the main.js. So let's target the display. So let's get the element by ID of the display and assign it to a display variable. And also let's get all the buttons with the class of btn. So we use document.querySelector and grab all the button with the class of btn. So let's try to log out the button to see what the button brings us. So when you use query selector or and target the button with the class of btn, it will return us a node list. We want to map through the button, and we can't map through. The only method you can use on the node list is for each. So let's wrap the document.querySelector or let's turn that into array.from. That will turn the node list to an array form. There we go. We can see an array of that. So let's target the button and map. So buttons.map, and for each button you will target the button and add an event listener on it. So in this situation, we want to listen to a click. Whenever the button is clicked, we want to run the following function. So let's switch. We'll be using switch here. So we'll be switching based on the event e.target.inner test. That'll give it the test of each button. So let's log out e.target.inner test to see what we will get. So when we log it out and click on the button, you can see it returns the number of that button. That's what we want. So within the switch, in the case of AC, that's when we want to clear the input. So you set the display.inner test and set it to an empty string. That's pretty much it, and break out of that case. So in the case of delete, we want to check if there's a test within the input, and if there's a test, we want to set the inner test and splice from the first index, that's 0, to the last index, that's -1, and break out of that. So in the case of equal to, that's when we want to do the calculation. Here we'll be using try catch. So within the try, we want to set the inner test to eval. Eval is a built-in method in JavaScript that calculates. So we'll be calculating, we'll be using the eval and to be set to display.inner test. It will be calculating the test within. So within the catch method, that's when we display the error. If for any reason you mistakenly type something which cannot be calculated, let's break out of that. So the default case, we take the display and set the inner test and add on to that the event.target.inner test. That's pretty much it. So with this, I think we should have a working calculator. There we go. If you find this to be useful and helpful, just help me out by subscribing to the channel. See you in the next video. Until then, stay tuned.